Good evening. On the World News tonight from BGI TV Current. First, the headlines. FAAC to share 1.959 trillion naira to federal government, state and LGAs. Missing 2 trillion naira. Tet Fund says FG borrowed 371 billion naira. Civil servant to get new salary scheme. Akpabio. Reps reject motion seeking to stop increase in price of PMS. And on sports, Super Falcons focus on Canada game. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. The news shortly. The Federation Account Allocation Committee is about to share 1.959 trillion naira being revenue generated in June 2023 among the federal, state and local governments on Thursday. The technical and plenary meetings of the FAAC will be held on Thursday to formally approve the amount that will go to the federal government, state and local government. According to a report, statutory allocations make up 1.7 trillion naira of the federally collected revenues, followed by 293 billion naira from value-added tax and 12 billion naira from electronic money transfer charges. Special Advisor and Assistant Media and Publicity to the President, Temitope Ajayi, while reacting to the development, said the FAAC will share almost 2 trillion naira in July, the first time in history, as revenue for the 3 tiers of government is an immediate and major benefit of fuel subsidy removal. This money that would have been fretted away in a month via fuel subsidy will now go into the coffers of government to improve living conditions of people. What it means is that there will be more money available for real employment. Moving on to the next story. The Tertiary Education Trust Fund says that federal government is indebted to the agency to the tune of 371 billion naira amid allegations of emission of 2.3 trillion naira. Tet Fund Executive Secretary Sonny Echono disclosed this at a public hearing on alleged missing of 2.3 trillion naira in Tet Fund between 2011 to date, organized by an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives. On the alleged missing of 2.3 trillion naira, Echono said that the revenue attributable to the fund within the period is 2.47 trillion naira. It revealed that between 2011 to date, the federal government borrowed 371.3 billion naira and repaid only 48 billion naira. The Executive Secretary also mentioned that all relevant documents to aid the investigation of the committee are being provided. Earlier, the committee chairman, Oluwole Oke, PDP Osun, stressed the House resolution on the motion to investigate the alleged missing sum. He said the committee would look at all documents submitted by Tet Fund and the law establishing the fund. Mr. Oke explained that the committee was also interested in Tet Fund staff's welfare, promising no individual or agency would be intimidated by the House. He, however, mentioned that the Parliament will ensure Tet Fund does what is right and deliver the required services to Nigerians. From that story, we'll go to the next story from the Senate President. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has assured that workers under the federal government will soon enjoy a new salary scheme. Akpabio gave the assurances when he received the Governor of Ekiti State, Abiodun Oyebanji, and members of the National Assembly from the state, who visited at the National Assembly on Tuesday in Abuja. The Senate President said the review was a move towards cushioning the effect of the removal of the fuel subsidy. He also noted that the removal of fuel subsidy by the federal government was to address corruption in the petroleum sector. According to him, the removal was the beginning of fighting corruption in the system. Nigeria as a country would not have survived the next few years if the fuel subsidy had not been removed. Adding, salaries and wages of workers would be reviewed in order to ensure Nigerians have a living wage. Speaking further, Akpabio told the governor that the Senate is very proud of your representative in the 10th National Assembly. They are committed and dedicated members of the legislature, and that means the people of Ekiti, the land of knowledge, have a lot to offer this country, particularly the Senate. We will work with Ekiti State for the overall benefit of Nigerians, he declared. Speaking earlier, the Ekiti State Governor Abiodun Oyebanji commended the President of the Senate for his achievements in office in the last 1 month. Moving on to the next story. The House of Representatives on Wednesday rejected a motion to stop the increase in the price of premium motor spirit (PMS) and revert to old price of 537 naira per litre. Rather, the House resolved to investigate the sudden increase in the price of premium motor spirit and the resultant increase in the transport fares across the country. The House said since it has already resolved to investigate the increase, it will amount to re-emptying the work of the investigative committee by ordering the suspension of the price increase. In a motion of urgent public importance by Honorable Ikenga Ogochinyere, the House asked the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Medicarry, and all marketers to appear before an ad hoc committee to explain the increase. The ad hoc committee is also find ways ensuring effective distribution of palliative to Nigerians to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Moving on to the next story. The Senate has set up an ad hoc committee chaired by Senator Francis Fadausi to investigate the abuse of firearm by officials of the Nigeria Customs Service in Katsina State and at border communities in the country. The committee would probe the incident in Katsina, including the alleged killings of residents by custom officials during border drills in August 2021, the killing of 10 persons also by custom officials in February 2021 in the GBR local government area of the state, and the attack on the Chief of Staff to the Katsina State Governor, Jabiru Tsawi, on July 13, 2023. The Senate decision to investigate the attacks by custom officials followed the presentation of a matter of urgent public importance by Senator Abdulaziz Yar'Adua during Wednesday plenary session. After the probe, the ad hoc committee will proffer solutions and report back to the Red Chamber in 6 weeks. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has called for the suspension of the session of the Abuja-Kano Airport until it concludes its investigations. Moving on to Ogun State. A team of technical engineers from India has arrived in Ogun State to begin the process of converting vehicles from fuel to compressed natural gas. The move signals the commencement of the e-mobility and gas mobility program of the state government, which involves the conversion of mass transit buses from fuel to gas and tricycle and motorcycles to electric. The four-man technical team will work on the pilot project, initiate the first phase of the gas mobility program, and further prepare a process map to scale up and do a phase-wise implementation on all the commercial buses in the state. It will be recalled that the Prince Dapo Abiodun-led administration in March this year, in partnership with Nigeria Transport Solutions Limited, took delivery of the CNG conversion kits for the pilot phase of the state mass transit buses to be fueled by the CNG. The CNG project demonstrates the commitment of the administration to a cleaner economy and ensures cheaper means of transportation in the state, especially with the removal of subsidy on fuel by the federal government in May. Secretary to the State Government, SSG, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, in a statement on Wednesday said the Indian engineers are in the process of starting the conversion process. According to him, the state's mass transit buses will start rolling on CNG in the coming days, in line with the promise by Prince Dapo Abiodun that the project would commence in first week of August. From Ogun State, we'll go to the next story. The Colleges of Education Academic Staff Union, COHESU, the umbrella body of lecturers in the nation's colleges of education, has directed its members nationwide to go to work 2 days weekly until the federal government yields to its demand of 200% increase in salary. The announcement was contained in a statement signed by the union's national president, Dr. Smart Olubeko, in Abuja on Wednesday. Olubeko said the decision was reached at the COHESU's extraordinary meeting held on Tuesday, amid the difficulty of its members to get back to work as a result of hike in price of petrol. He pointed out that the implementation of removal of subsidy removal by the federal government 2 months ago had raised the price of a litre of petrol by 250%. This wasn't the inflationary rate on the cost of transportation, food and other essential commodities, and improvised the Nigerian people. Workers, including staff of the colleges of education, kept faith with the federal government and chose to ensure that and endure the untold hardship, thinking it will be only for a while as government promised to roll out palliative measures. Now, the leadership of the union has been undoubted by members' complaints that they could no longer go to work as a result of high price of petrol and resultant high cost of transportation, he said. Moving on to the next story. A federal high court, Abuja, on Wednesday threatened to issue a warrant of arrest against suspended Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN Governor Suspended, over his failure to appear in court to explain circumstances surrounding the $53 million judgment debt arising from the Paris Club reform. Justice Ian Echo, who ordered Emefiele to appear on the next adjourned date, said he was minded to exercise restraint in the proceeding to give the ex-CBN boss an opportunity to explain himself. The development followed an intervention by Emefiele's counsel, Audu Anuga San, praying the court to give his client another opportunity as they had been unable to reach him since the last order directing him to appear in court. Anuga told the court that Emefiele, who was suspended as CBN governor, had been in detention. He said all efforts to reach him to communicate the directive of the court were unsuccessful. Information report that Justice Echo had on October 20th, 2022 ordered the CBN governor to appear in court on January 18 over his alleged refusal to obey the court order of the call for payment of the judgment debt in favor of a legal petitioner, Joe Agi San. Agi had dragged Linus International Limited, Minister of Finance, CBN and Emefiele to court as first to fourth judgment debtors, respectively, following an application for garnish made by him as judgment creditor in the case. From that story to the foreign story. The European Union has disclosed that it will invest over 45 million euros in grants to support basic education, particularly in the northwestern part of Nigeria affected by insecurity. The EU ambassador to Nigeria and the ECOWAS, Ms. Samuela Isopi, disclosed this in her opening remarks at the 2023 Erasmus Scholarship Awardees pre-departure orientation event on Wednesday in Abuja. According to her, in 2023 to 2027, we will be investing more than 45 million euros in grants to support basic education, especially in the Northwest, a region particularly affected by insecurity, where education systems have been totally disrupted. We will pay particular attention to girls' education, which is an essential precondition to achieve women empowerment and gender equality and more prosperity for all, she emphasized. On 2023 Erasmus Plus scholarships awarded, Isopi explained that there are 135 Nigerian awardees, as it makes Nigeria the top country in Africa and among the top 5 globally, together with Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and Brazil. To end the world news from BGI TV Current is a sports story. Ahead of the commencement of the 2023 Women's World Cup, Super Falcons head coach Randy Wardrum has insisted that his team is focused on getting a positive result against Canada and not distracted by the bonus role issues with the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF). Recall that the team will face Canada on Friday in their opening game before tackling Australia and Republic of Ireland respectively. In an interview with Reuters after Wednesday's training, Wardrum stated that the players are promised not to discourse about the bonus saga, but to concentrate on the task at hand. We will be there. All that transpired between we came and I think the team. Once we are already there and arrive here, I've just concluded on Canada, Wardrum said. We met about it first night we arrived, and at that point, we will just agree not to continue to discuss it, not to let it be out there, and we are here to do a job to make the country proud at the World Cup. With that story, we've come to the end of World News this hour for BGI TV Current. Before we go, some major headlines. FAAC to share 1.959 trillion naira to federal government, states and LGAs. Missing 2 trillion naira. Third fund says FG borrowed 371 billion naira. Civil servant to get new salary scheme. Akpabio. Reps reject motion seeking to stop increase in price of PMS. And on sports, Super Falcons focused on Canada game. For more updates of our broadcast on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. For advertisement for goods and services, coverage of events and functions, please dial the phone number streaming on the screen. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rabila Lawal. Good evening.